I want to welcome you all to my videos, Living Legend on Hearing Posts. I hope you subscribe to Hearing Posts and watch most of my videos. Today, I want to talk to you about the media bias when it comes to Bernie Sanders, Donald J. Trump, and Ted Cruz. Over the weekend, have you seen that Bernie Sanders won several caucuses around the country and he received no credit from the mainstream media? The mainstream media basically is saying it doesn't matter what Bernie Sanders does. But also, what really gets me mad about the mainstream media, have you noticed they have taken a line from the Clinton campaign, and I think it is very, very nasty. Every time Bernie Sanders wins a contest, you notice they say this: he only wins contests where there are white people at. That means when he wins in Kansas, he wins in Maine, he only wins where white Democrats are. See, that's a dog whistle. That's a dog whistle basically saying that Bernie can only win with so called white people. But they're Democrats too. Bernie Sanders wins 25 to 30% of the black vote. But that's what the liberal mainstream media wants you to hear. That dog whistle. It's almost a roundabout way saying that, is Bernie Sanders racist? Bernie Sanders is the most progressive person in this campaign who has fought for civil rights around this country. He's the first person in 1984 and 1988 who put his hand up and supported Jesse Jackson when no other Democrats would do it, even African American Democrats. But the mainstream media wants to throw out this dog whistle that was put forth by the Clinton campaign that he can only win states that white people are in. You know that little whisper to make African American and Hispanic Democrats like, is there a little something wrong with Bernie Sanders? This is how the mainstream media works. It is nasty. I told you in one of my earlier videos that they were going to come at Bernie Sanders in this way. This is how the Clinton campaign works. And it's extremely nasty. And let's get to Donald J. Trump. Now, we know Donald J. Trump is a master of the media. But it's something that the mainstream media did that is real, real nasty over this KKK issue. Remember, Donald J. Trump earlier that Friday had put on his Facebook page and his Twitter page that he disavowed the KKK. Everybody knows it. But the mainstream media kept asking the question. Donald Trump said, I don't want to be involved with these people. But they finally found a way to trip up Donald Trump, because you know Donald Trump said something one day, he don't know what the heck he's talking about. But everybody knows what Donald Trump said that Friday and that Saturday. But this mainstream media still attacks Donald Trump on this issue. Now, have you noticed this? They're running a dog whistle campaign on Bernie Sanders, and they're running a pure racist campaign on Donald Trump. What do the two of them have in common? They're fighting against the establishment. Remember, the establishment fights dirty. They use their acolytes in the media to fight their war. This doesn't make any sense. You're going to call Bernie Sanders a racist, Donald Trump a racist, and we haven't even got to Ted Cruz yet. And let's talk about Ted Cruz right quick. You notice they throw little dog whistles, but many of you haven't heard, but it's underlying that Ted Cruz is not a real Hispanic. What is a real Hispanic? He was born Cuban. But they're starting that campaign against Ted Cruz. See, the mainstream media right now is one of the dirtiest media concepts there running right now in American history. They're the ones who are pushing this race kind of like war. They're going after Ted Cruz. They're going after Donald Trump. They're going after Bernie Sanders. And how much can the Sanders, Trump, Cruz supporters take? But one person they're not going after, that's Hillary Rodham Clinton, if you notice. Because everybody is supporting Hillary Clinton and the establishment. This woman is the person they want to put in that White House no matter what. Have you noticed they have not run any stories on 60 Minutes about Hillary Clinton? And I'll tell you why in a second. Have you seen them run anything on Libya, the invasion of Libya, and the catastrophe that has been? If that was a Republican, they'd be running it 24 hours a day. If that was Donald Trump or Ted Cruz or anybody who was Secretary of State, they'd be running 24. That should disqualify her from being president right now. Did they run anything on 60 Minutes about the Russian reset? No, you don't hear that. Look how the media can protect a candidate. Did they run anything on 60 Minutes about her accepting all this money from Goldman Sachs? No. It's all about not what they report, is what they won't report. They're protecting one of the most corrupt women in the history of America. And they constantly go after Bernie Sanders, a good man, every day. Talking about he a one-issue candidate. Look what the mainstream media does, and you know he's not a one-issue candidate. Donald Trump's a racist. Donald Trump has hired more minorities and gave them jobs than Hillary Clinton has ever done. Then you're going to go after Ted Cruz and say he's not Hispanic enough. And run these campaigns, what I call dog whistle campaigns, on all three candidates to protect Hillary Clinton. I don't see anything on that crime bill of 1994. Can you imagine if Ted Cruz and Donald Trump did that crime bill? Man, that'd be front page all across the country. But the establishment wants Hillary Rodham Clinton. I don't see how a Bernie Sanders, a Donald Trump, or a Ted Cruz supporter could ever vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton. It is sad that Bernie Sanders is a Democrat and they running a dog whistle campaign on a man who has proven, who's a proven fighter for civil rights and for all the American people, even if you disagree with him or not. People need to call the mainstream media out for their bias. And all their biased reporters. You got George Stephanopoulos on Channel 7, and he was part of the Clinton administration. You got all these cats that's tied into the establishment. How do you get a fair shake with the media? You got all these candidates out here trying to fight and win this general election, this primary, and Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, even if you don't agree with Donald Trump or Ted Cruz. But you know what they gonna do to him. You should already know who's the candidate for the establishment and for the media. You see it now. Because they want to investigate Hillary Clinton the right way, she'll be out this campaign by the middle of March. And you know it and I know it. I want to thank you for listening to this video. I hope you subscribe to Hearing Post. And you know what I'm telling is the truth right now. They're running a dog whistle campaign on these other three candidates, but giving Hillary a pass. Thank you very much and have a nice day.